It was an ending so listless that the network news coverage that broke in to cover it decided that it was okay to go back to local news at the end, in the middle of the actual press conference where Vladimir Putin was leading, of all things. It was the Tyson and Paul fight on Netflix without the bad glitches, in fact, because we could have got some entertainment out of that part. It was a whole week of hype and a whole day of waiting. And when we got there, a couple of hours of waiting, and even talking about speculation that while they missed lunch, they must have been getting things done, only to find out it was nothing. And if you hear the spin going on in some places, I'm watching Fox at the moment, and they are doing their best to put Donald Trump in the best light. It is a lie. This was bad for America. This was a bad night, bad showing for Trump, and Putin wins the whole shebang by double, triple digits, and even took Trump's girl in the process. Now, the whole thing ended with a understanding. No actual conclusion, no actual closing of any sort of windows, no ceasefire. Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, the presidents of Russia and the United States respectively, wrapped up their 2.5-hour summit meeting in Alaska. Putin flew in, and he had the big summit sign on the ground, and they had some bombers fly over to show a bit of a strength thing. And then, I don't know, he basically took Trump to task for 2.5 hours. We'll never really know what's going on in there. We probably won't get a full readout what's happening. But they ended up with a press conference where Putin opened up. They said there was an understanding. Trump didn't say there was another meeting going on. Trump didn't say there was ceasefire. Trump said, "We'll see you soon, Vladimir." And Vladimir said, "Maybe Moscow." And Trump's like, "Well, my folks will probably hit me up for that one, but we'll see." And that's it. From what I could tell, because I was back and forth doing things in the 20 minutes that it started and stopped, the press conference was 20 minutes. Most of it Putin talking, and the end of it being Trump trying to spin a glad hand and try to put some jokes on to get Putin to smile, which Putin did not do that. There's a lot of play on the right for conservatives saying that, Trump's taller than Putin and had this peace sign back there, and Putin didn't want to be near that. Putin doesn't give a damn about what anybody wants, but what Putin wants. And he showed up on this one. They spoke together with some interpreters, we guess, for almost 3 hours in Alaska. Putin flew in. They had their talk. They skipped lunch. Everything was important. They had side meetings ready for other things going forward. And in the end, as far as we can tell, no immediate sign of a breakthrough. No ceasefire, no peace deal, no backing away, not even talking about a trading of land. Let's call it handshake drama with diplomacy, as they had a choreographed note on the tarmac when Putin arrived in Alaska on the red carpet, bomber flyover, as we said, the handshake from Trump. No tangible ceasefire, no peace plan, no nothing. Trump made it clear that he thought it was a 75% chance of something being successful, only 25% chance of things not working out. I think we got 25%. I think we got it pretty much as most people thought, 100%, that this would be a showing that will look good for Putin regardless, because Putin gets a chance to get out of Dodge, get out of Moscow for a while. No one in the United States was going to sign him up and try to deport him in some places where he's a war criminal from everywhere. And Trump played a dutiful host. He, did what he could to make sure that the house was tidy. All the great snacks were there. Cold beer in the fridge, the game on, the right game on, and, picture in picture so you can flip back and forth. It's red zone. It's all red zone. It's the greatest day ever for a fan who shows up, opens a beer, takes a sip, maybe takes a handful of popcorn and says, "Yeah, I'm done." There's criticism growing over the sidelining of Kyiv in the process. And this would have been a true waste of time if Vladimir Zelensky was here, because obviously nothing happened. But Ukraine and European partners who are supposed to be taking up more of the load, and they're right now willing to do that, not invited to this summit. Zelensky criticized the move internally, warning that bypassing the governments of himself undercuts his legitimacy. He also called for a just peace for what was going to happen. Of course, nothing actually happened. What we were expecting was essentially a second meeting, or a second to third meeting, which would be a three-way talk between Zelensky and Putin, with Trump in the background hanging out there. What we got was symbolic dialogue between the rivals, that is, the Americans and the Russians, Trump and Putin, to show that there is some dialogue. There is a stage to be set. There is work for future discussions. But work for future discussions just means we agreed to talk again later on. We don't agree to work on something. We don't have any extra homework. We just make another play date with nothing planned going forward. No concrete agreements to work on anything. Nothing but a understanding. No clarity. Maybe the readout will tell us something different. But the fact that they had a press conference, Putin spoke, Trump spoke, then they both left is telling on this end. Flipping through some of the coverage, and that's basically what we need. I'm going to watch coverage of this all night long. I'll miss my wrestling tonight to watch the coverage of this one, because this is the real smackdown going forward, what happened in Alaska, and to try to see what various pundits are going to do to spin it for their way, what Republicans will do on the liberal channels, what the liberals will do on the Republican channels, and what they'll do in tandem to see what happened. As the journalists will do what they can to hopefully be as down the middle as possible to just lay out the facts. From my eye point, from my viewpoint, my balls, as I've watched and listened to all the commentary up this morning until it happened, and then listened in and waited for it to happen, and it's basically sat like every other person in the world, sat back as we knew the doors were closed and we knew nothing happening, and the outcome was this press conference is chilling. If you follow along with my coverage, and you know me, you know I'm no Trump fan. I'm not a fan of 47, but I often talk about the things that are done, whether intentional or just sort of unintentional, that are good, that work well, where he's actually stood up for something that makes sense, and the times where he said he was going to do something and did that thing on purpose that was good, as well as the things he said he was going to say on purpose and aren't so great. So I think I am fair, or fairer than most, what's going on. I'm in no way a person that is on the top of the list of people to be sent away and disappeared for yelling at Donald Trump. My audience is not that big, and I actually, like I say, am a fan of the presidency and wanting our guy to do good, even if he's not my guy and the good he's doing is sort of marginal. This was bad. This was not good. This is one that Trump said in a commentary I saw a few minutes ago from John Bolton. It's called Trump's look at the press conference. Tired, not disappointed, not defeated. He didn't necessarily lose the day, but Putin won on all accounts. Scoreboard all the way. Plus a trophy, plus MVP, plus the cheerleaders, and half the concession gate while he was there. It is, to my eyes, and I wear glasses, so they had to be corrected in some cases, an obvious loss for us, U.S. An obvious not good showing for our man, Donald J. Trump. It just is. And for a person like Trump, who does not admit defeat, does not find a way to fix his last failure, I don't know where we go with this. He could tout that he was joking about fixing the Ukraine-Russian war in one day, but he should have done that in the beginning and say, you know, it's a simple thing. It'll take a few days. We just need to talk things over. Now that it's been 7 months since he's been in charge. Oh, Putin did admit that he would not have invaded Ukraine. There would not be a war if Trump were in office. Who knows? Putin gets to say what he wants to say, and it falls in line with what Trump wants to hear, and it goes along with that one. But the Russian pursuing peace, sitting behind Vladimir Putin, who has this look of, I'm just here for the chips, is what we're having here. Anybody who's saying that Vladimir Putin showed any sort of fear or contention or any sort of stiffness doesn't understand this man, doesn't understand politics, doesn't understand, people in general. Any average people watcher can see just from the picture right here in the stance. Trump does look a little tired, maybe from the back and forth. Putin looks a bit perturbed, annoyed, just kind of like, okay, I'm here. Let's do this thing. I'm on a schedule. Time zone back that way. I am willing and able and ready for the slings and arrows that could come my way this one. This may be a video that does not get very much in the way of any response, which is fine because they come hit or miss. But this is one that may get some of the bigger slings and arrows that I've gotten in the past. When there are more bots, I admit, but when Republicans and conservative type folks were blasting me for my blasting of a Donald Trump. This is me blasting Donald Trump for getting nothing out of this deal today. Would I have done better? Hell no. I would not have gotten even close. But this is a guy who says he's the best deal maker in the world, who hasn't figured out you can't make a deal with this devil, or a deal that will stand on the terms that you think you signed off on. Guess which one of those is the devil? Your comments are very much welcome. Have a way.